how can I refuse a 7th grade girl who keeps coming to assembly after assembly, challenging the old man, hey, you won all these gold medals, let's have a race.
Welcome to the Rock Your Retirement Show. My name is Kathy Klein and I'm the host. And in this show, we don't talk about money or financial issues. We talk about retirement lifestyle issues. These are things that everybody needs to know, whether or not you've saved enough for retirement. So let's go to the episode. Welcome back to the Rock Your Retirement Show. And when I say welcome back, I'm not just talking to you, the listener. I'm talking to my next guest, Alan Mindell. I actually interviewed Alan in 2016, and we talked about his creative writing workshops, and he gave us some really great tips for writing a book. And I asked Alan to come back because he is also a multiple gold medal sprint winner in San Diego's version of the Senior Olympics called San Diego Senior Games. So Alan is going to give us some tips about staying in shape, exercising, and those kind of things, because I know that keeping young as we can and healthy is on everybody's mind. So Alan, welcome back to the Rock Your Retirement Show.
Thank you, Kathy. I look forward to speaking with you again.
So you are very active. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved in the San Diego Senior Games.
Well, if I can spare you a little bit of didactics here, actually it's kind of very simple. When I was in college more than 50 years ago, because I was a fast runner, I was nicknamed something, and I don't know whether I can share this with your listeners, but I will go ahead anyway. I was called Motorbutt.
Motorbutt?
Motorbutt, yes, because a couple of coaches felt as though because I ran fast, I had a motor in which propelled me forward. And so more than 50 years later, I remembered that nickname, Kathy, and decided, well, let's see whether Motorbutt is still Motorbutt.
That is funny.
So, what simpler way would have been than to go out for San Diego's version of the Senior Olympics? And I did well enough my first year so that Motorbutt evidently still was. And so I had the opportunity in my second year to win four gold medals.
That's awesome. So do you have a T-shirt that says Motorbutt on it?
No, but I'm going to go invest in one right now and share it with the world.
That is funny, Motorbutt. Okay, yes, you can say that. We'll bleep out things that are bad language, but Motorbutt's fine.
That's great.
So you trained for how long? I mean, did you just go in cold, or like how did you start?
Well, I had been dancing for a number of years. I'm an avid swing dancer and zydeco dancer, and so I'd been dancing for years. So I wasn't in the worst shape. I wasn't in great running shape, so I began running. Actually ended up with a couple of injuries before I achieved the position to be able to compete in the Senior Olympics. And the result was that I did get in shape and, as I said, did well enough to really explore it further. And typically what I do is I run at least 3 times a week. I do what's known as interval training, which is where the runner sprints for a period of time. I like to do wind sprints, actually, where I might run hard for maybe 100 yards or so, or 100 meters, and then walk back, and then run again, and so on and so forth. So it can be pretty grueling, but it can get you in shape. And in fact, I was concerned about the fact that maybe I wouldn't be able to compete effectively in the 400 meters, which is actually once around the track, because here I'd been training for shorter races. It turned out that the interval training really worked, and turned out also that my winning time in Senior Olympics was in the top 10 in the country for my age group, and I emphasize for my age group, Kathy, because And I'll tell you about 100-year-old man as we move forward. Whenever you're ready for him.
I'm ready now. I want to hear about a 100-year-old man who's doing these games. Tell me.
And the way he put it is, what he wanted to do is set world records for his age group. And the way he put it was, at my age, competition thins out a little bit. But you'll never believe what the first event was that he competed in. And by the way, this is in front of Fox World News. They sent a camera crew out to cover this guy. New York Times had a reporter there. First event is the pole vault.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's, when I tell the story, that's what people usually respond with. Oh, my gosh.
That's crazy.
They visualize this man running up to the bar with the pole in his hand, and the pole catapulting him up 20 feet in the air and then landing on the other side of the bar, blah, 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 blah. Well, this man was pretty creative pretty smart, I would say, because, first of all, the record for his age group was only about 3 feet. And so what he did was, instead of running up to the bar, he walked up to the bar, stuck the pole in the ground, dropped the pole, and then stepped over the bar in order to set the world record.
What? Wait a minute. Wait. I'm trying to... What did he do?
Visualize this. Okay. And I watched him closely because he was a pretty hot topic that day. And by the way, the weather was not too cooperative either. It was a September day where it was like 100 degrees out. And so he comes walking up to the bar with the pole in his hand, because you have to use the pole, stuck the pole in the ground, dropped the pole because it was just going to get in his way, and then he stepped over the bar.
But how did he do 3 feet? I'm still trying to figure this out.
Well, he just stepped over the bar, which was 3 feet high. He's a very tall guy.
Oh, I see. So it wasn't on the ground. The pole wasn't.
Correct.
Oh, correct. Okay. I see.
and by the way, when I do my talks, I always demonstrate it so that people can see exactly what he did.
Okay, I have a question. Is that cheating or was that kosher?
No, that was good, because the reality is that pole vaulters drop the bar anyway, because if they don't drop it, they don't let it go, it will hit the bar. I'm talking about the pole. If they don't drop the pole is liable to hit the bar, knock it off, and with the result that the jump won't count.
Oh, I see. So he didn't even use the pole. He dropped it before and then just basically straddled over the bar.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That was brilliant.
I think you described it much better than I did. Well, very nicely described. So.
I get it. That's great. That would make a good GIF or GIF or whatever you call them. those little short videos that you see online?
Yes.
That would have made a good one, I think. So,
indeed. So
this 100-year-old man, what's his first name? Do you remember? That way we can call him by a name.
I think his name was Don.
Don. Okay, well, let's just call him Don, whether that's his real name or not. So, did you get a chance to speak with him at all, or did you just admire him from afar?
I did not. But I will share with you that he competed in 6 different events that day, including the 100-meter dash, which in his case was not exactly a dash. Competing in all these events, I did see him in the training room getting a massage. So he held up, but so I didn't want to interrupt the massage and actually... And by the way, I'm sure that your viewers or your listeners can get this story online of the 100-year-old man competing in the San Diego Senior Games.
Yeah, it sounds like there was a lot of news coverage on this event, so that's pretty awesome. Let's go back to training for the event. So you were already kind of in shape. You were already a dancer. You were a runner already. What about someone like me who, I'm not really that active. I really never have been that active. What advice would you give for someone like me?
Start out slow, meaning don't extend yourself beyond basic limits to begin with. Build up maybe spend at least a couple of weeks just, if you're a runner, maybe just running very lightly, and then if you're doing well, then maybe extend it from there, both in terms of speed and distance. I do not recommend that somebody right off the table, so to speak, go out and run a 5-kilometer event, because that's certainly something where injuries can take place. The same is true for sprinters, especially. To me, sprinting is more dangerous than running longer events because of the fact that you really extend yourself during a short period of time, yes, but the competition is so strong that and that's where pulled muscles occurred, and I've certainly have had my share of them in recent years. So again, start slow, maybe hire a trainer who will advise and be very cautious to begin with, because I don't recommend somebody, even though they consider themselves to be in good shape, I don't recommend that they go and really extend themselves initially.
So a trainer is good because they can help you prevent injuries? Exactly.
I wind up in training rooms simply because I extend myself, get injured, and then have to go to rehab for a while and so on and so forth, as all part of this process. So that's why I especially suggest to people that they start slow, build up, and see how things go as they go.
Right, because being injured is no fun at all, and then while you're injured, you can't even usually continue to train.
Exactly. Motorbutt is not Motorbutt injured.
No, it's sit around and wait for your injury to heal butt, right?
Exactly. And by the way, speaking of butts, after my last injury, where I pulled a groin muscle, they wanted to build up my butt because they claimed that was the cause of my potential injury. So when I exercise now, I have an exercise which will strengthen my posterior.
That's really interesting. Well, your body's all connected, so that actually makes sense that it would move around to the front. Okay, great. Well, so we've heard a little bit about your experience with the San Diego version of the Senior Olympics, and right after this break, we're going to come back and we're going to find out more about these senior games. So we'll be right back. Do you want to make sure that you never miss an episode of the Rock Your Retirement Show? Did you know you can subscribe to the show? It's easy. We're in all the major podcast apps, including iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, and more. All you need to do is go to your favorite podcast app and search for the Rock Your Retirement Show. Or, if you need more help, just go to rockyourretirement.com/subscribe and you'll find a short tutorial for either an iPhone or an Android phone. It's easy. Okay, we're back from the break, and I'm speaking with Alan Mindell, who was actually on the show in 2016, and now he's on the show again talking about senior games. Now, Alan, for somebody who's not in your area, how would they find out about these senior games so that they might participate or at least go watch?
The fact is that it's easily reachable by online. It's on just if they Google San Diego Senior Games, it'll come up. And Kathy, there's a whole list of activities, of contests and sports. There might be 20 different categories in which people can compete. So, but I recommend that's probably the simplest way. And by the way, I did the same thing myself yesterday in preparation because the fact is that I wanted to give you the whole scope of games and activities that people can compete in. ranging from ping pong, if somebody happens to be a good ping pong player, to track and field, tennis, golf, archery, pickleball, which I think that's a version of handball, actually. And so there's a whole host of things that people can compete in.
What's the most unusual thing that you've seen?
I think this 100-year-old man.
Uh-huh.
I think that was pretty unusual, and we all the athletes that day stopped. All activity stopped to watch him, and the fact is that he's an inspiration, and he's what Senior Games is all about.
Absolutely. Do you know how they started? How the Senior Games started?
I really don't know, although I can say this, that years ago I was working for the Parks and Recreation Department, and somebody who was representing seniors approached that department with the idea of, why don't we create something for seniors? Maybe that's where it started, and this was probably about 40 or 50 years ago.
So you were there from the very beginning?
Yes, to a certain extent, although I wasn't eligible to compete back then because I wasn't old enough.
How old do you have to be?
To be in the San Diego's version, I believe it's 50. I think they have age categories, and the way the categories work, Kathy, is every 5 years. 50 to 55, 55 to 60, et cetera, or technically 50 to 54, 55 to 59, and so on. And by the way, we senior Olympians like it when we get another birthday because we get a year older and a year closer to competing against an older age group. I knew when I turned 75, by the way, that I'm going to compete against those older people.
Right.
Not anymore, and so that's when I was able to. And actually, I did compete in a track and field meet, a master's track and field meet in San Marcos, at Cal State San Marcos, and at the time, my winning time was number one in the entire country for my age group, and I always emphasize for my age group. That changed as the year went on, but at least I had the praiseworthiness of being number one, at least for a short period of time.
Hey, and you'll always have that.
Thank you. As I get older, when I hit, right now I'm 76, when I hit 80, hallelujah, because again, I get to compete against those older guys. And then 85, same thing, and it's something to look forward to.
Well, it seems like at 76, you have an advantage over the 79-year-olds because you're a little couple days, a little bit younger.
That is correct. But some of these fellows are pretty fast, and they do it. It's a way of life for them. They train hard, and they go to meets all across the country, track and field meets all across the country. It's amazing to watch them, and they take it very seriously. And the track and field meets are conducted very effectively, too. They have an announcer, they have official timers, and, that sort of thing.
Do they have any medical personnel? Like, what happens if somebody actually gets injured?
and it always happens, okay? There's always somebody that pulls a muscle or strains something or what have you, and of course they do have medical personnel handy. I don't think they have an ambulance, but that might not be a bad idea in some cases.
Right.
So.
I know in my church, Alan, so I go to a church where the average age is probably between 80 and 85, and it's a small church where I'm not in a mega church. It's like, 150, 200 members, and we have our own nurse, and she's been needed several times since I've been going.
During the services. So, well, if she's looking for more work, maybe put her in touch with the San Diego Senior Games, and because it could very well be needed.
Wow. Okay. Great.
But it's fun, and everybody has a very positive attitude, even though everybody takes it very seriously. And by the way, I can share with you something. I was doing a talk, if you don't mind, Kathy. I was doing a talk at a junior high school in National City on this whole concept of keep trying, keep your dreams alive, have fun, et cetera, et cetera. And I was talking to junior high students, and a girl kept coming to the assemblies as I was talking, assembly after assembly, and she kept challenging me to a race. And so I finally said, okay, I'll meet you in the schoolyard after I do all these assemblies. Fine. So I walked out there. The entire school was out there, Kathy, to watch the old man run against the 7th grade girl. And guess who won? Okay?
Who did you win?
No.
She won. Was it on YouTube? Did the kids all record it on their cell phones?
It may be. I'm not sure, but it's not one of my proudest moments. I think I do have a video on it, so which I may end up burning. But I have an excuse. I do have an excuse, and that is that I had plantar fasciitis at that time. So when I saw that she was going to beat me, I didn't extend myself.
No, you didn't start limping. Did you start limping or anything, or throw your back out? Oh, I got injured.
No, I did not. Nothing bad happened. I'd already had the injury, and so but how can I refuse a 7th grade girl who keeps coming to assembly after assembly, challenging the old man? Hey, you won all these gold medals. Let's have a race. Well,
now she can say that she beat a senior Olympian or a senior games champion.
Exactly, or a senior nutcase, as the case may be. It's fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it is fun. So tell me, is there a cost involved in most of these games? I mean, not necessarily just San Diego, but should somebody expect to spend a lot of money or a little bit, or how does it work? I mean, there's definitely costs.
A little bit. In fact, I'm going to enter a track meet. It's an all-comers meet. It's going to be at Balboa Stadium in San Diego. It's next Wednesday, and I think it costs $7 per event if you sign up online.
Oh, that's not bad at all. So it's affordable.
No, exactly. It's affordable, and it just covers the cost of renting the track and also the administration costs involved.
So how many people would you expect to show up? Is it 100? Is it 5?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
I would say 100.
100. Okay.
And it will range, with an all-comers meet, it will range in all age groups. There'll be kids who might be 12 or 13 or 14 on up to the old man, myself.
Oh, but you're not racing against the 14-year-olds.
Actually, they divided into heats, so that it turned out that the last event, which was at Mesa College, I was running in the 400 meters, and there was a youngster who was probably 12 or 13 in my heat, and I swore that I was not going to finish last again, because after all, these are all younger people and they're skilled and whatnot. So I debated as I was in the home stretch, should I beat the kid or not? Should I let him beat me or not? I said to myself, I'm not finishing last again. And right at the wire, I went past him, and so that's. I guess I don't have a good heart.
No, you're teaching him that he has to strive a little harder.
Exactly. Or maybe not run so fast early.
Exactly. See, you don't want to let people that are competing, not like a race to the park or whatever, but if they're competing and they're wearing a banner, you've got to try your best and let them try their best.
And thank you for that advice, and I did. But he got a nice round of applause for competing.
And next time he'll improve. He'll do a little bit better.
Exactly.
So, okay, right. Good. So what do you win when you win? Is it just applause, or do you get a medal? What happens?
They actually do give out medals. They're not $5,000 medals, but ribbons with a medal on, and they're nice. And I've got a collection of them and can show my great grandkids if I'm fortunate enough to have them. So that's all, and that's all part of the situation. Plus, I have some videos. And in addition, I think I still have this video of the 7th grade girl beating me. So I'm not sure I want to show that.
And lots of stories.
And the main thing is just to be out there, living life, competing, having fun, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you go to one of these track meets, and you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to run into, and it's just really a good experience.
That's great.
I certainly recommend the San Diego Senior Games. That's where I got my start. So I can definitely recommend them. They run a nice program, and of course, it's a lot of fun.
And when are they? When are the main competitions?
Thanks for asking. September is the month that's designated, which ironically is, of course, typically the warmest month in San Diego. So, and the senior, the track and field is usually around September 20th or so. I don't have the exact date for this year, but they designate the month of September for senior games.
That's good because somebody might listen to this episode in the year 2025, so we don't have to put the exact dates, but knowing that in San Diego it's always in September is good to know. And then is there a website that somebody can go to?
Yes, there is. And again, if they just Google San Diego Senior Games, it'll come up.
What if they're not in San Diego? Are these games pretty much in September everywhere, or is it different based on where you're at?
Thank you for asking. Good question. They're based on where you are.
Okay.
And that enables people who are really serious about this, and I would categorize myself as being less than really serious, but people can go to different places. I've known people that have gone to national events, which, by the way, this year was held in San Diego at UCSD, but can go to Nashville, Tennessee, or to Asheville, North Carolina, or wherever they're having meets and compete. So, and there are a lot of runners and athletes that do exactly this.
Interesting. So are you seeing the same people over, like, do you become friends with some of your competition? Or is it kind of like, don't talk to him because he might win? How does that work?
Yeah, actually, there's a fellow that's a little bit older than I, and his son always coaches him, and I tease them as to which one is the father and which one is the son, and so on and so forth. It turns out that the son is the coach and the father is the runner, and I've gotten to know them and gotten to know other people. And by the way, the San Diego Senior Games has luncheons on the second Friday of each month in Balboa Park, and it's an opportunity for people to go and socialize, and they always have a speaker there, and it's informative. Plus, as I said, you can meet other people, that sort of thing.
Awesome. Well, that's great. So if San Diego does it this way, there's a good chance that wherever you are in your area probably does that too. So if you're not in San Diego, just Google your location Senior Games or your location Senior Olympics, and you should be able to find an organization near you. And if you can't, maybe you can start one. So, Alan, thank you so much. We're nearing the end of our time together. Is there anything that you would like to say before we say goodbye?
Kathy, just thank you for the opportunity. It's a worthwhile activity that exercise, no matter what form, is worthwhile. Keeps us young, alive, having fun, making the most out of life, and I just feel as though it's a good thing.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And for the listener, we'll see you next time on Rock Your Retirement.